G'day and welcome to another episode of Ian Smithson's Photography. This evening I'm at Bridgewater Bay in Blairgowrie on the Mornington Peninsula in Victoria, and I'm here about 3 hours before sunset, 3.5 hours probably, just to have a look around and try and work out where to shoot from. The obvious place to shoot from is out here where there's the rock formations, the bridge that gives the bay its name, and there's a rock pool in front of it which at high tide at the moment is covered over, and there are waves running over it. But by the time sunset comes, the tide will be about 3/4 of the way out. So I'm hoping that it'll be low enough to be able to expose that rock pool and give me some reflections of the light. I'm not too sure what the sun's going to do. It's been in and out most of the day, and the clouds look like they're breaking up a little bit, but there's been this constant sea haze on the horizon. So even if the clouds break up, I think the sun might get blocked by that sea haze. But you've got to be here to try, and so I'm going to give it a go. So I'm going to walk down onto the beach and see if I can find some places to shoot some things before the light starts to change at sunset. But hopefully we'll find something. Otherwise, this one's a dud and we'll try again next time. So as you can see in that introduction, there was a lot of sea haze and some low-level cloud, particularly on the horizon, so I wasn't convinced that I was going to get a great sunset. But as I was there a few hours before sunset, I had time to wander around and look for some good shots to try and emphasise movement, which was the next creative challenge. The big challenge I had there, though, was that a lot of that movement was in the waves right out on the edge of the rock platform. There's not a lot of wave action that comes right up to the edge of the rocks close to shore because the rock platform is so shallow that the waves have dissipated by the time they get to the shore. But what I did find, as the tide went out, after a couple of hours, the tide had dropped below the level of the platform, and it was only the larger waves that washed over that platform and gave the opportunity to shoot some waterfalls on the edge of the rocks. So I started to shoot those. But what I also found was that I was more interested in the flow across the platform as I was of the water falling off the platform. So I'll show you two shots here and see which ones you like and how I use these to show movement by changing the shutter speed using neutral density filters to get exactly the right amount that I needed to show what I wanted to show. So here in this first image, the thing that caught my eye initially was this little waterfall. The water cascading from the rock pool behind over these rocks and then into this rock pool below and then flowing down into the right hand side. But there was also the subtle evidence of movement from the top right corner across this little rock platform here, where the waves had been splashing over here and adding to the water up here that's just flowing down and adding to this waterfall here. It's a nice enough shot, but when I looked at it on the back of the camera, I thought I was missing something because the background here just looks truncated. I could have cut that background out completely by cropping that a little bit more, but then that still looks imbalanced to me. It doesn't really give me the essence of what the whole environment was like. So I went for another shot. I went for the wider angle shot. I took a couple of steps backwards and went from a wider angle from 70mm where I was focused just in on this little bit in the bottom left through to 48mm where I could focus on the whole scene. Now the scene is spectacular enough with this magnificent rock formation and the wave action behind, but this also gave me the broader view, and taken from higher up, it also gave me the opportunity to see the water flow from these little rock pools right in the back into these middle ones and then down into this cascade over the edge of the rocks and down through the rock platform. But also this secondary one that is this rock pool over here that was missing completely from the shot before. showing the water flow that has an alternative route that goes down through this little stream of water in the same direction into the bottom right. So I ended up with these two shots and trying to work out which one was going to be the one that I finally went for. And in the end, I think I go with this one because I like this really spectacular rock formation, but I also like the different water flows that I can pick up from here because I've got movement coming from the waves over the back here, down through this way, across this little water flow over here, and from the rock pools over here, and then down across to the bottom right again. So I can show all that movement. Now, to show that movement, I messed around with some shutter speeds. Initially, I was taking these shots at a very slow shutter speed. This one's at 4 seconds. Initially, I was taking it at about 15 seconds. But what the 15-second flow did was that you lose a lot of this white water because you get so much variation happening here that it all flows into a same sort of milky, creamy look, which is okay. But I preferred the idea of having these lines in the water which actually emphasise the movement of the water rather than it just being a flat surface. It could well be ice if all you're looking at is this flat surface of water because of the slow shutter speed. I then tried a faster shutter speeds to try and block some of this up a little bit and to show the movement even more, but it didn't really work. 4 seconds was about right to give me that balance between the water flow down here with this bottom left corner with the really bright white water flowing over the cascading rock here. The subtle flow here just didn't seem to happen when I used a faster shutter speed. A faster shutter speed did freeze the wave action a little bit more, but I was happy with the compromise on that. And the other thing that this does is it adds just a slight little misty feel because there's a lot of mist in the air and there's a lot of wave action happening. Even at 4 seconds, you're getting this sort of blurry white around the edge of the rocks, which is due to the mist flowing around here. So I hope that's useful for you. And remember that pixels are free, so get out there and shoot and try different ways of showing movement in the scene when you get the opportunity. Bye for now. See you next time.